This is Speaking of Writers. I'm Steve Richards. The new book is called In Memory of You, an anthology, an interesting take on storytelling. It's an anthology of stories that make readers think they are the narrator or part of the story. The author is Rodney Martin. Rodney Martin II was almost born in Minnesota by 2 weeks, but he was born in Memphis, Tennessee instead. Then after living in Memphis for 5 years, he then moved to Mississippi, where he moved 3 more times. There he attended Mississippi State University, almost moved to Dallas, but he ended up moving to Virginia instead. And while there, he underwent training for the United States Secret Service. But he didn't let this distract him from his writing, as it has always been his passion. Despite all he went through, from injuries and brushes with death, he never allowed anything to stop him from building worlds with a pen. Happy to have Rodney Martin join me now here on Speaking of Writers. Rodney, welcome to this program.
Thank you so much for having me, sir.
Describe this book, In Memory of You.
So this book it's basically an anthology of 17 short stories. And the central themes are existentialism, religion, and death. And, it's just fiction based off of experiences that I've dealt with in my life, media that I guess, been exposed to in the recent years.
So what's the main message you'd like to get across with this book?
I guess the main message would be that to not fear the unknown, especially something like death. We all know that it's coming, so it's best to not necessarily prepare for it, but I guess to just be accepting of it and to live life to the fullest before it comes here.
How would you describe your style of writing, Rodney, and what is your writing process?
I used to write a story in one sitting. I would just kind of get an idea at some point, and then it would kind of just start off like a little spark, and then every day I would just kind of think more and more about it, and then I would just kind of sit down and kind of build the pieces together, and eventually I would just create the entire story. But now when I write stories, I guess it takes me a little bit longer because I like to do research and stuff like that to make it a lot more, legitimate, I guess.
Do you prefer to brainstorm ideas before you start writing, or is it more of a feeling in the moment when you're curating your story?
So it used to be more of a feeling in the moment because I would get an idea and then I would just kind of just write it immediately in one sitting. But now it's more so like a brainstorming thing because I have a journal now. So I take it to work, and even when I get an idea, I'll just kind of just write something down, like a character's name or something. And every single day I'll just kind of build upon that. And then when I write the actual story, I'll just use my journal as a reference.
And how has your day job in the Secret Service affected your writing and ideas?
It actually hasn't affected it that much. That was my biggest fear, that I would go to training and then I would have no time at all to continue writing, but I never allowed it to stop me from writing anything. I would be going out with friends and I would just be in the car, on my phone, writing, and they'd be like, "Yeah, you're writing, aren't you?" Because I just wouldn't be saying anything. I'd just be typing on my phone. So it's something that I have always loved to do, and I never wanted anything to stop me from doing that.
Rodney, did you always know you were a pretty good storyteller?
No, I didn't actually. I thought I was pretty bad at first. Writing it was like a little story about how my Christmas break went, and I think algebra in high school. And then my algebra teacher was like, "This is actually really good. You should look into writing." And I was like, "What?"
We're chatting with Rodney Martin II. His new book is called In Memory of You, an anthology. And by the way, it's available online at writersrepublic.com, amazon.com, and barnesandnoble.com, and also Walmart as well. What genre, Rodney, would you like to explore more with your writing, preferably something outside of your comfort zone?
So I try to attempt a lot of different genres. I guess ones that I haven't really hit upon, maybe certain aspects of fantasy, like high fantasy, maybe some darker fantasy. I have never tried romance, and I would love to delve more into some sci-fi. So I guess I would like to try those one day.
Do you have a favorite author, and if any, and why?
So I primarily read Stephen King. I recently just read something from his son, Joel. I guess I don't really have a favorite author per se. I guess I just like a specific style of storytelling, like the darker kind. Usually those two hit that pretty well. But yeah, I don't think I have a specific one right now.
Let's talk about collaborating. What author, if any, would you like to collaborate with in the future?
Yeah, definitely Stephen King, but I have no idea when that would happen. I feel like I have a pretty long way to go. This is the start of a journey, but I guess as I progress more, I will have a better idea of who I would like to work with in the future.
All right, let's look into the future now. Where do you see yourself in the world of writing 5 years from now? Where do you hope to be?
I hope to be on interviews, on TV. I hope to actually start writing like longer narratives, like something like an actual like novel. And when I have more time, I would definitely love to delve into something like that, because right now I'm kind of fighting with a serious schedule, and it's very difficult to write more than what I am right now. So I guess if I had more time, I would definitely love to write like a novel in the future.
Rodney Martin is my guest here on Speaking of Writers. The book is In Memory of You. So would you prefer a cult following or an on-the-surface fan base?
I think cult followings are very unique. I think it kind of stirs a different kind of conversation. Like if, I write something like mystery, like it would be very interesting to have like my work talked about on forums and stuff like that before it became mainstream. I think that would be really interesting.
Rodney, what is your motivation for writing and why?
My motivation would be my family and my friends, and just the fact that, like I said, I've dealt with a lot of situations where could have met death. So just living and finding that purpose in life, I guess, would be my main inspiration.
And who would you consider to be your target audience?
I guess my target audience would be more so like high school, college, like the young adult.
Let's talk about the Secret Service for a moment. What made you decide to join the Secret Service?
So I always wanted to do something federal. I wanted to be a detective originally, but I had no idea. Like, I had no experience. Like, my dad was prior military, but I had like no experience at all with law enforcement. I always thought that I could definitely make a change in the community, because I love helping people. I love to do things that would be the betterment of everyone and not just myself. So I had a family member that was actually in the service, and she told me about it while I was in college. And she was like, yeah, you should go ahead and apply. And so I did, and I hadn't even graduated yet. And then I was in the process. And then once I graduated, like, I was working at FedEx as a package handler for like 3 months. And I was also in the process for Secret Service. So I had to keep leaving my job to go do stuff for the Secret Service. And I was like, I promise you, I'm not lying, that I'm doing something else, and I'm not just not coming to work. So I had to prove to them that I was totally traveling to D.C. to do stuff for the Secret Service.
And finally, are you working on a new book? And if so, can you give us a sneak peek into what it's about?
So yes, I would love to release another anthology, preferably horror next. I do have a blog, and a lot of that is a sneak peek of some of my other work and a lot of the other genres that I do work on. So the website is theotherside.space. So I guess that would be a sneak peek.
All right, theotherside.space?
Yes, sir.
Well, the book out now from Rodney Martin II is In Memory of You, an anthology. Again, it's available. Be purchased online at writersrepublic.com, amazon.com, barnesandnoble.com, also available at Walmart, too. Rodney, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, sir. It's been a pleasure.
And this is Speaking of Writers. I'm Steve Richards.